Another one of the Scrum artifacts is the potentially consumable product, or as it's also known as the potentially shippable product. It represents the accumulation of work delivered at the end of each sprint. So all the work that's been accepted during this sprint and the previous sprints becomes part of the so-called potentially shippable product. The intention is, of course, that Scrum is an iterative and incremental methodology, which means we iterate through the Scrum process and incrementally grow the product. So this is why sometimes the output of a Scrum is called a consumable increment, a potentially shippable increment. It's gone by a variety of names. And this has led to a lot of confusion in the software development community because according to the Agile Manifesto, of course, we value working software over comprehensive documentation, which is pretty good because clearly just simply delivering reams and reams of documentation is not really very valuable after a while. We do like to have something that works because it is working software that does the job for us or gets things done. But it's also caused a lot of anxiety among a lot of software teams because they go, look, we can't deliver working software every 2 weeks. And according to Scrum, we're supposed to have this potentially shippable product or this potentially shippable increment at the end of every 2 weeks or working software. Well, I like to take a page from Jim Highsmith and suggest to you that what that really should say rather than working software is that we prefer or creating value over comprehensive documentation. And really what Scrum is trying to do, or what we are trying to do with Agile, is not create reams and reams of paper, but to basically show that we could be able to create something that worked. So Jim Highsmith said here, look, working product or simulation and models are the ultimate reality-based, verifiable, dependable progress measurements. So the intent here is, of course, working software is the very best thing that we can deliver. And a lot of teams are actually capable of delivering software in very short sprints. But a lot of us aren't. You know, we're either stuck with legacy architectures, which hopefully we're slowly evolving, or we have regulations that we have to work under that maybe there are hopefully amenable to change. But what Jim Highsmith is telling us here is, for example, if we have to build a model, if part of understanding our software and building our system is that we have to model it, don't just give me a model at the end of a sprint. Show me that the model works. So if you're building, for example, a flow diagram or a performance model, it could be part of the work that we have that's deliverable in that sprint. Could it be, I don't know, maybe an actual little bit of code that shows it work? Or if we're building an architecture, is there something we can build that demonstrates that it works? This is really what our goal here is, to have something that we can demonstrate works and demonstrates we are actually making progress. Because I've been involved in a lot of teams where we developed beautiful paper models. And then eventually when it came time to implement, we realized there's no way this paper model is going to work. So again, while the ideal is, of course, to get software out at the end of each sprint, and that we want to call that a potentially shippable product. The idea is think of it as the end of each sprint, we are creating an increment, we are creating value, and that value is to demonstrate we are making progress. Now, don't take this as your get out of jail free card, that now you can just simply write documentation and not get working software out there. Remember, always create value over comprehensive documentation.